Ambassador Xylot's antennae twitched with a mixture of bewilderment and unease as he regarded the human scientist before him. Dr. Sarah Chen, a petite woman in her 40s with an air of quiet confidence, returned his gaze unflinchingly. "You must understand, Dr. Chen, the Galactic Council has never encountered a civilization capable of producing such devastating weapon technology at your current stage of development," Xylot said, his voice laced with a hint of condescension. "Railguns are utterly destructive. They have the potential to cripple even our most advanced warships. Their existence poses a grave threat to the delicate balance of power in this sector of the galaxy." Dr. Chen's lips tightened into a thin line. "Ambassador, I appreciate your concern, but I can assure you that our railgun program is a defensive measure, not an offensive one. Humanity has no aspirations for galactic conquest. We simply wish to protect our homeworld and secure our place among the stars." Xyloth regarded her skeptically. "Your people have only recently achieved interplanetary travel. How could you possibly fathom the complexities of galactic politics and the dangers your technology poses?" He leaned forward, his expression turning serious. "If word of your railguns were to spread, it could spark an arms race that would destabilize the entire region. I implore you, cease this program immediately before it's too late." Dr. Chen's brow furrowed as she considered the ambassador's words. She knew he spoke the truth. The potential for conflict was real. But the thought of abandoning their hard-won technological breakthroughs filled her with a sense of unease. "Ambassador, I understand your concerns, but you must understand ours as well," she said firmly. "Humanity has faced countless existential threats, from environmental devastation to the brink of nuclear war. We've clawed our way back from the edge of oblivion through sheer determination and innovation. The railgun is the latest manifestation of that drive, a testament to our resilience and our refusal to be constrained by the expectations of others." Xylot's mandibles clicked as he processed her words. "You speak with passion, Dr. Chen, but passion alone will not sway the Galactic Council. If you refuse to cooperate, we will be left with no choice but to intervene directly." Dr. Chen's eyes narrowed. "Intervention? You mean invasion?" She leaned forward, her tone hardening. "Let me be clear, Ambassador. Humanity will not be cowed, not by threats of sanctions, not by the might of your fleets. We will defend our sovereignty with every fiber of our being. If the Galactic Council attempts to force our hand, they will find that the cost will be far higher than they ever imagined." Xyloth held her gaze for a long moment, then slowly nodded. "So be it, Dr. Chen. You have made your position clear. I will relay your defiance to the Galactic Council. I only hope, for the sake of your people, that you are prepared to face the consequences." With that, the ambassador turned and strode from the room, his robes swishing behind him. Dr. Chen watched him go, a faint sense of unease settling in the pit of her stomach. She knew that the coming conflict would test the limits of humanity's resolve, but she was determined to prove that their technological prowess was more than a match for the advanced civilizations of the galaxy. President Ashford's brow furrowed as he reviewed the latest reports from the Galactic Council. The ultimatum was clear: dismantle the railgun program, or face devastating economic and diplomatic sanctions. He let out a heavy sigh, knowing that this decision would define the future of humanity's place in the galactic community. "This is an impossible choice," Ashford muttered, rubbing his temples. "On one hand, the railguns are our best defense against potential threats, but to defy the Galactic Council—" He trailed off, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on him. The door to his office opened, and Dr. Sarah Chen strode in, her expression tense but resolute. "Mr. President, I've reviewed the Council's demands. I must urge you to reject their ultimatum." Ashford looked up at her, his eyes narrowing. "You understand the consequences, don't you, Doctor? If we refuse, they could cripple our economy, cut off our access to vital resources and technology. It could be devastating for our people." "I'm well aware of the risks, Mr. President," Chen replied evenly. But I'd also been studying the Galactic Council's capabilities, and I believe we have a fighting chance. She leaned forward, her gaze intense. Our railgun technology is more advanced than they realize. With a few more months of development, I'm confident we can make it an insurmountable deterrent. Ashford considered her words, his mind racing. You're asking me to gamble the future of our entire civilization on a technological edge that may or may not materialize. It's an enormous risk. I understand your hesitation, sir, Chen said, her voice softening. But think of what's at stake. If we capitulate to the Council's demands, we'll forever be beholden to their whims, limited in our ability to chart our own course among the stars. Is that the legacy we want to leave for our children? Ashford's jaw tightened. He knew Chen was right. Humanity had fought too hard and come too far to simply surrender its hard-won technological advances. All right, Doctor, I'll take your recommendation to the Cabinet, but I hope, for all our sakes, that you're right about this. Chen nodded, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. I won't let you down, Mr. President. I've assembled my best team, and we're working around the clock to make the railguns even more formidable. With a little more time, I know we can deliver a solution that will make the Galactic Council think twice about trying to strong-arm us. As Chen turned to leave, Ashford called out to her, Doctor, one more thing. Make sure your team knows the stakes. If we fail, the consequences could be catastrophic. Understood, sir, Chen replied, her expression hardening. Failure is not an option. With that, she strode out of the office, her mind already whirring with plans and strategies. The fate of humanity now rested on the success of the railgun program, and she was determined to see it through, no matter the cost. Ashford watched her go, a mixture of trepidation and hope churning in his chest. He knew that the path they had chosen would be fraught with peril, but he also believed in the ingenuity and resilience of the human spirit. If anyone could defy the expectations of the Galactic Council, it was his people. With a deep breath, he reached for the phone, ready to rally the Cabinet and prepare the nation for the challenges that lay ahead. The air in Dr. Chen's laboratory hummed with a palpable sense of urgency as her team worked tirelessly to refine the railgun designs. Holographic schematics flickered and rotated on the various workstations, while the rhythmic clanking of machinery echoed through the cavernous space. Okay, people, let's go over the latest updates, Chen said, her voice sharp but tinged with an undercurrent of excitement. Ballistic stability, improved by 12%. Power efficiency, up by 15%. And most importantly, our targeting and firing algorithms are now 25% faster. A collective murmur of approval rippled through the assembled scientists and engineers. Chen allowed herself a small smile, knowing that their efforts were starting to pay dividends. These upgrades are good, but we can't rest on our laurels. She continued, her tone sobering. The Galactic Council is mobilizing its fleets as we speak, and we need to be ready. I want test firing protocols refined, redundancies hardened, and every possible contingency planned for. Failure is not an option. The future of humanity is at stake. The team responded with a chorus of determined nods, their faces set in expressions of steely resolve. They knew the gravity of the situation, but the prospect of proving humanity's technological prowess against the might of the advanced alien civilizations only served to fuel their determination. As the team dispersed to their various workstations, Chen turned to her lead systems engineer, a young man named Jack Williams. Jack, I need you to oversee the final integration of the targeting systems. We have to make sure those railguns can hit their marks with pinpoint accuracy. You got it, Doctor, Williams replied, already typing furiously on his console. I'll have the simulations running around the clock. We'll nail those bastards out of the sky. I promise. Chen nodded, satisfied, and moved on to check the progress of the power systems team. She knew that the coming conflict would test the limits of humanity's ingenuity and resilience, but she was confident that her team was up to the challenge. Outside the laboratory walls, The preparations for war were well underway. Across the globe, military forces were mobilizing, stockpiling weapons and supplies, and coordinating defense strategies. The leaders of the world's nations had set aside their differences, united by the common threat that loomed on the horizon. President Ashford stood at the head of the conference table, his gaze sweeping over the assembled military commanders and political advisors. "Gentlemen, ladies, the time has come. The Galactic Council has made its move, and we must be ready to meet them head-on. Dr. Chen and her team are doing everything in their power to give us an edge. But we all know that the odds are against us." He paused, his expression grim. "But I have faith in the resilience and ingenuity of the human spirit. We have overcome insurmountable odds before, and we will do so again. This is our moment to prove that we are not to be underestimated, that we are worthy of a place among the stars. Let's show the Galactic Council that humanity is a force to be reckoned with." The room erupted in a chorus of cheers and applause, the sound of it echoing through the corridors. As the meeting adjourned, Chen caught Ashford's eye and nodded, a silent acknowledgement of the immense challenge that lay ahead. But in that moment, she knew that they were all in this fight together, united in their determination to secure humanity's future, no matter the cost. The massive alien fleet emerged from the inky blackness of space, its sleek warships bristling with an array of advanced weaponry. President Ashford watched the holo-display intently, his jaw set with determination. "So they finally arrived," he murmured, his eyes narrowing. Turning to the assembled military commanders, he said, "Give the order. Unleash the railguns." Across the vast fleet of human spacecraft, the railguns roared to life, their electromagnetic pulses sending a shower of hypersonic projectiles hurtling towards the alien vessels. The air crackled with the sheer power of the human weapons, and the Galactic Council's ships suddenly found themselves on the defensive. Ambassador Xyloth, his mandibles clicking with a mixture of shock and dismay, could only watch as his fleet took heavy casualties. The human railguns were far more powerful and accurate than the Council's intelligence had suggested, tearing through their shields and hulls with devastating efficiency. "This is impossible," Xyloth growled, his claws gripping the arms of his command chair. "Humans should not have this level of technology." On the human side of the battle, the mood was one of grim determination, tempered with a growing sense of exhilaration. Dr. Chen, monitoring the battle from the command center, couldn't help but feel a surge of pride as she watched the railguns perform flawlessly. "That's it, keep it up," she shouted, her eyes darting between the holo displays. "Target their engines, their weapons systems. Cripple them." The human fleet maneuvered with precision, their ships weaving through the hail of enemy fire to land devastating blows with their railguns. Alien vessels began to break apart, their hulls crumpling under the relentless barrage. Hyloth's mandibles clicked furiously as he issued a desperate order to his remaining ships. "Pull back. We must regroup and reassess our strategy." The alien fleet began a hasty retreat, their wounded vessels limping away from the battle. Aboard the human flagship, a cheer went up as the enemy forces withdrew. President Ashford allowed himself a faint smile, but there was a somber note in his voice as he addressed the assembled commanders. "Well done, all of you, but we must not let our guard down. The Galactic Council will return, and we must be ready." Dr. Chen approached him, her expression intense. "Mr. President, the railguns performed even better than we hoped. With a few more upgrades, I believe we can make them an unstoppable deterrent against any future attacks." Ashford nodded slowly. "I admire your confidence, Doctor, but we cannot afford to underestimate our foes. The Galactic Council is formidable, and they will not take this defeat lying down." "I understand your concerns, sir," Chen replied. "But I also know the resilience and ingenuity of the human spirit. We've come too far to back down now. If we continue to push the boundaries of our technology, I believe we can secure a lasting peace, not just for ourselves, but for the entire galaxy." Ashford studied her for a moment, then placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then I trust you to make it happen, Doctor." The future of our species is in your hands." Chen nodded, her eyes burning with determination. "I won't let you down, Mr. President. Humanity will prevail." As she turned and strode back to the command center, Ashford watched her go, a glimmer of hope kindling in his heart. If anyone could lead humanity to victory against the Galactic Council, it was Dr. Sarah Chen and her brilliant team of scientists and engineers. The alien fleet limped away from the battlefield, its once proud warships battered and crippled. Ambassador Xyloth's mandibles clicked furiously as he reviewed the devastating reports from the front lines. "Unacceptable," he hissed, slamming his fist against the arm of his command chair. How could these upstart humans have developed such formidable technology? It was not supposed to be possible. Beside him, the Council's chief military strategist, General Ixul, shifted uncomfortably. "The humans have proven to be more resilient than we anticipated. Their railguns decimated our forces with alarming efficiency." Xyloth fixed the general with a withering glare. "Then you clearly underestimated them, Ixul. We cannot afford such mistakes, not when the balance of power in this sector hangs in the balance." Ixul dipped his head respectfully. "You are correct, Ambassador. I will ensure that our intelligence on the human capabilities is thoroughly reevaluated. In the meantime, we must devise a new strategy to neutralize this threat." Xyloth steepled his claws, his eyes narrowing. "Yes, a new strategy. One that will leave no doubt in the humans' minds about the true might of the Galactic Council." Back on Earth, the people celebrated their unexpected victory with a mixture of elation and trepidation. President Ashford, standing before the cheering crowds, raised his hands for silence. "My fellow citizens, we have won a great victory today," he began, his voice resonating with pride. "But we must not let our guard down. The Galactic Council will not simply accept defeat, they will return, and we must be ready." Ashford turned to Dr. Chen, who stood beside him, her expression solemn. "Doctor, your team has done an exceptional job in developing these railguns, but we cannot rest on our laurels. I need you to continue pushing the boundaries of this technology to make it an even more formidable deterrent against any future attacks." Chen nodded, her eyes burning with determination. "You have my word, Mr. President. We will not be caught off guard again. Our scientists and engineers are already working around the clock to further refine the railgun systems. I promise you, when the Galactic Council returns, they will face an even greater challenge." The crowd erupted in thunderous applause, the sound of their cheers echoing through the streets. Ashford raised his hand, silencing them once more. "Citizens of Earth, I know the road ahead will not be easy. The Galactic Council is a powerful adversary, and they will stop at nothing to maintain their dominance. But I have faith in our people, in our ingenuity and our resilience. Together, we will stand tall against any threat that dares to challenge us." As Ashford stepped away from the podium, the people surged forward, their expressions a mix of pride, determination, and a hint of trepidation. They knew that the battle was far from over, but they were ready to face whatever the Galactic Council had in store for them. In the shadows of the command center, Dr. Chen watched the celebration, her mind already racing with plans and strategies. She knew that the fate of humanity hung in the balance, and she was determined to ensure that they would emerge victorious, no matter the cost. The Galactic Council chambers were a hive of activity as the alien delegates pored over the latest intelligence reports from the disastrous battle with the humans. Ambassador Xyloth paced back and forth, his mandibles clicking with a mixture of frustration and determination. "This is unacceptable," he hissed, his eyes narrowing. "How could a fledgling civilization like humanity possess such advanced weaponry? It defies all logic." General Ixul, the Council's chief military strategist, stepped forward, his expression grim. "The reports are clear, Ambassador. The human railguns are far more powerful and accurate than anything we've encountered before. If we don't find a way to counter them, they could pose a serious threat to the delicate balance of power in this sector of the galaxy." Xyloth's claws curled into fists, Then we must act, Ixal. Spare no expense, no effort. I want our scientists and engineers to develop a solution that will render the human railguns obsolete. We cannot allow this upstart civilization to disrupt the established order. Ixal nodded, his expression hardening. It will be done, Ambassador. I will assemble our finest minds and pour every available resource into this project. We will not be caught off guard again. As the council meeting adjourned, the alien delegates scattered, their faces etched with a sense of urgency. They knew that the stakes were higher than ever. The future of the Galactic Council's dominance hung in the balance. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen and her team were working tirelessly to further refine the Railgun technology. Holographic displays flickered and hummed as they ran simulations, tested new materials, and explored ever more advanced firing algorithms. "All right, people, let's go over the latest numbers," Chen said, her voice sharp but tinged with excitement. Power output, up by 22%. Targeting accuracy, improved by 17%. And we're now able to fire at a rate of 120 rounds per minute. A murmur of approval rippled through the assembled scientists and engineers. Chen allowed herself a small smile, knowing that their efforts were bearing fruit. "These upgrades are a good start, but we can't stop here," she continued, her expression turning serious. "The Galactic Council is undoubtedly working to develop a counter to our railguns as we speak. We need to stay one step ahead of them, to push the boundaries of what's possible." Jack Williams, the lead systems engineer, stepped forward, his brow furrowed with concentration. "Doctor, I think we've identified a way to further enhance the railgun's targeting systems. If we can integrate the latest advancements in quantum computing, we might be able to achieve precision targeting at ranges we never thought possible." Chen's eyes widened, a spark of inspiration igniting within her. "That's brilliant, Jack. Get your team working on it immediately. We need to make sure that when the Galactic Council returns, they'll be facing an even more formidable opponent." As the team dispersed to their various workstations, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of cautious optimism. She knew that the stakes were higher than ever, but she also believed in the ingenuity and determination of the human spirit. Whatever the Galactic Council had in store, she was confident that they would be ready. The vast alien fleet emerged from the void, its sleek warships bristling with a dizzying array of new weaponry. President Ashford watched the holo-displays intently, his expression grim. "So, they've returned," he murmured, his voice tinged with a hint of trepidation. Turning to Dr. Chen, who stood beside him, he said, "Are our railguns ready for this, Doctor?" Chen's eyes narrowed as she studied the incoming alien vessels. "We've done everything in our power to prepare, Mr. President. The railguns are more powerful and accurate than ever before. If our simulations are accurate, we should have a decisive edge." Ashford nodded slowly, his jaw tightening. "Then give the order. Let's show the Galactic Council the true might of humanity." Across the human fleet, the railguns roared to life, spewing forth a hail of devastating projectiles. The air crackled with the power of the weapons, and the alien ships reeled under the assault. Ambassador Xylov, his mandibles clicking with a mixture of shock and fury, watched helplessly as his forces took heavy casualties. The human railguns, enhanced with the latest technological advancements, were proving to be an even more formidable challenge than before. "Impossible," he growled, his claws gripping the arms of his command chair. How could they have improved their weapons so quickly? General Ixul, his face etched with grim determination, barked orders to his subordinates. "All ships, focus fire on the human vessels. Overwhelm their defenses with our superior numbers and firepower." The alien fleet surged forward, its weapons blazing. Brilliant bursts of energy lanced through the void, colliding with the human ships in a dazzling display of destructive power. But the humans were more than ready, their railguns unleashing a relentless barrage that tore through the alien defenses with ease. In the command center, Dr. Chen's eyes were fixed on the holo-displays, her mind racing with calculations and tactical adjustments. Concentrate fire on their weapon systems and engines, she called out, her voice calm and focused. We can't let them regroup and launch another attack. The human fleet maneuvered with precision, their ships weaving through the alien onslaught to land devastating blows with their railguns. One by one, the alien vessels began to break apart, their hulls crumpling under the sheer force of the human weapons. Xyloth's mandibles clicked furiously as he watched his fleet disintegrate before his eyes. "Retreat," he barked, his voice laced with desperation. "We must fall back and regroup." The surviving alien ships turned and fled, leaving a trail of shattered and burning vessels in their wake. Aboard the human flagship, a roar of triumph echoed through the command center. President Ashford clasped Dr. Chen's shoulder, his expression a mix of relief and pride. "You did it, Doctor. You and your team have saved us all." Chen shook her head, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. "No, Mr. President. We all did this together. The scientists, the engineers, the soldiers. Humanity has proven its worth to the galaxy." Ashford nodded, his gaze sweeping across the jubilant faces of his people. "Indeed. And now, the future is ours to shape." As the human fleet regrouped and prepared to pursue the retreating alien forces, a sense of cautious optimism settled over the proceedings. The Galactic Council had been humbled, and humanity had emerged victorious. But they all knew that the true test was yet to come. In the wake of the decisive victory, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session, their usually stoic demeanors betraying a sense of unease and trepidation. Ambassador Xyloth stood before the assembled delegates, his mandibles clicking with a mixture of resignation and respect. "It is with great reluctance that I bring forth this proposal," he began, his voice laced with a hint of gravity. "We have suffered devastating losses at the hands of the human railguns, losses that have shaken the very foundations of our power in this sector of the galaxy." The delegates murmured amongst themselves, their expressions ranging from disbelief to concern. Xyloth raised a claw, silencing them. "It is clear to us now that humanity possesses a technological capability that we have sorely underestimated. Their resilience and ingenuity have proven to be a match for our most advanced weaponry." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the chamber. "Therefore, we propose a new path forward, one of cooperation and mutual understanding, rather than conflict." The room erupted in a chorus of shocked protests, but Xyloth held up a hand, silencing them once more. "I know this may seem unthinkable to some of you, but we must face the harsh reality that confronts us. Humanity has earned its place among the stars, and to continue to oppose them would only lead to further bloodshed and destabilization." General Ixul, his expression grim, stepped forward. "Ambassador, you cannot be serious. Are we to simply surrender our dominance and accept these upstarts as equals?" Xyloth fixed the general with a steady gaze. "It is not a matter of surrender, Ixul. It is a matter of pragmatism and foresight. We must adapt to this new reality, or risk losing everything we have worked to build." Slowly, the delegates began to nod, their initial resistance giving way to a grudging acceptance of the ambassador's words. Xyloth allowed himself a faint smile, knowing that he had won a hard-fought victory. "Then it is settled," he declared. "We will approach the human governments with a proposal for a new era of cooperation and mutual understanding. Together, we shall forge a path forward that benefits all." On Earth, President Ashford and Dr. Sarah Chen stood side by side, watching the holofeed of the Galactic Council's announcement with a mixture of relief and cautious optimism. "Well, I'll be damned," Ashford murmured, a faint smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "I never thought we'd see the day when the Galactic Council would sue for peace." Chen nodded, her expression thoughtful. "It's a testament to the strength of the human spirit, Mr. President. We've proven that we're not to be trifled with, that we're worthy of a place among the stars." Ashford's gaze shifted to her, his eyes shining with pride. "And it's all thanks to you and your team, Doctor. Without your brilliant work on the railguns, we might not be standing here today." Chen's cheeks flushed with a hint of embarrassment. I was merely the catalyst. Mr. President, this victory belongs to all of humanity. To the scientists, the engineers, the soldiers, and the everyday citizens who refused to back down in the face of adversity. Ashford placed a hand on her shoulder, his expression solemn. And that, Dr. Chen, is why I have the utmost confidence in our future. With people like you leading the way, I know that humanity will continue to thrive, not just on this planet, but among the stars. Chen nodded, her eyes burning with a renewed sense of purpose. That future starts today, Mr. President. Let's show the Galactic Council what we're truly capable of. As the two turned and strode away, the railgun that had once been the symbol of humanity's defiance now stood as a testament to their technological prowess and their unwavering spirit. The path ahead was uncertain, but the people of Earth were more than ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy had in store.